And welcome to Mansfield Today. It's that time of the week where we find out about some interesting people who inhabit our fabulous country, and especially in Johannesburg. And it's always nice to see when we have some youngsters who are up and coming doing fantastic stuff. Somebody who came across our radar is a young artist who's been doing not just wonderful stuff here in South Africa, but also abroad. So welcome him to the studio, virtually, shall we say. We have Ryan Shava. And Ryan, thank you for coming and joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm actually really honored to have the opportunity to be interviewed.
Okay, so tell me a bit about your background. Why art? I mean, was this something that you wanted to do since you were a kid? Where did your influences come from?
I grew up in East London, and it's a relatively small town. And my mother owns the art gallery in that city. She runs Arts Unlimited, so it's always been something that was around me growing up. And I just took a knack into it, and it was never really a matter of trying to be good. It was just something that was a part of how I chose to express myself. And obviously, having a mother that's in the industry already, it became kind of easier for me to firstly not only meet other artists, but almost like see what it actually takes to be an artist and the level and quality of work that needs to be produced. So yeah, I just sort of took it and ran with it.
But we all know that it is well, most of us who kind of hang out with artists know how difficult it is, not just in South Africa, but around the world, to get your work noticed, to get it happening, for people to start buying it. And some people never achieve that, but you're already getting onto that ladder, which is fantastic. Do you have an agent, or do you just go out and do things on your own?
So for me in particular, firstly, when I look at the whole spectrum of art and just being a creative in general, I look at it first as a profession, as a job. So a lot of my write-ups I do by myself. I've been represented by a couple of galleries, and for each individual show, it's just a different bunch of people. But in its essence, the core of it is actually just having that professional mentality. I think with visual art especially, a lot of people like to romanticize the idea of being an artist, and the romanticization can come in the form of, no, I only work when I'm inspired, or I have a lot of friends that are authors who speak about having a perpetual writer's block. And those are the types of things that when you're thinking about a profession, a lot of other people in fields of law or medicine don't have that kind of privilege to be you know what, I'm not actually going to go to work today because I don't feel inspired to conduct a heart surgery. They sort of have that professional mentality of being this is actually my 9 to 5, and I have to do it. I have to do the write-ups. I have to actually get back and look at the work objectively as if, it is my passion. However, again, it's a job first. It's how I make money. It's what feeds me. Yeah, so I think especially for younger creatives, just developing that mentality really does end up going a long way.
Mm-hmm. So at the age of 13, though, you started actually going into studying. I'm sure that that's where you're learning about art and not about business. That's something else that'll come further down the line. But you were at the Belgravia Arts Center, which has had quite a few famous people as its alumni. Are those people that inspired you when you were studying there, thinking, well, I'm actually studying in a place where Norman Catherine came out of? Or who are your South African inspirations now, the artists that have done well that you think, I want to be that big?
So yeah, coming from Belgravia, I'll just like to say it's an amazing institution, and they really do tackle an overall understanding of not only art history, but the theoretical aspects that come with being an artist and what it actually takes to do it as a profession professionally. Um, the artists that I really, really have been looking up to are not even, like very much more established than I am, but they've just been making shockwaves and using the medium in a very different way. Samurai Farai, recently about 2 months ago, he invited me to the showcasing an opening of the Mercedes-Benz C-Class where he live painted a Mercedes-Benz. I've also been looking at artists that have sort of gotten out of the gallery space because um, firstly, like it's very, very hard to actually get into the gallery space. And you'll find that sometimes once you even have that representation, galleries will still be taking like 50, 60% of your net profit. So I've been looking at artists like Karabo Poppy, who last year released a collaboration with Nike that sold out in like 2 weeks or something. I've been looking at Jared Afrinitich, who was actually the first person to do NFTs and actually release them on a public platform here in South Africa about a year and a half ago. And when you start hearing of people getting into NFTs and stuff now, it's like, there have been people that have just been using their creative mediums um, in such a phenomenal way, in a very like strong business-minded way, which sort of like open my own understanding to being, like what can I do outside of just creating paintings and yeah, I guess I'm kind of working on it. I'm dabbling into it.
But then you also go out and you tag things, and you do graffiti, and then you take that inspiration and you put it into your paintings as well. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, it's actually somebody asked me not so long ago what comes first, the words or the pictures. And I have to say, sometimes it's very much simultaneous because the things that I'm feeling, I didn't just wake up starting to feel them. It's stuff that I used to write about because sometimes I find that like I don't have the right words to express myself until I've paired it with a visual. And poetry is just like a very bad excuse to say, I don't actually have the right words to express it until I've put it in an art form.
But what kind of art form are you doing? I mean, how would you describe your work? Is it like neoclassicist, or is it kind of like abstract? What is the overriding kind of feeling about your art, and what other people have described it as?
I classify as a neo-expressionist, but I borderline have been going into more contemporary work. And the reason I have been is simply because a lot more opportunities are opening up for contemporary artists since like the sort of medieval kind of art movements have sort of been like deemed as like outclassed or outdated. So I've been trying to make a lot more figurative work. I have rarely made anything that's abstract, and by abstract I mean something where you can't sort of tell the figure. I like to have still like human representations in my work. I like to include a lot of plants showing growth, and yeah, but all in all, the general feel is very expressionistic, and stylistically, it's neo-expressionist.
Okay, now people are really looking up and seeing you. In fact, they're not just seeing you here in South Africa, they're seeing you overseas. You had a sold out show in Detroit. Tell us a bit about that.
So the opportunity came when I was actually still in high school. That was my first show with them. How I ended up getting it, I applied for an art competition, Sassel Limitless, and being accepted into like one of the oldest art competitions in the country and then becoming a finalist in it, I think like it helped me gain a lot of attention from Megan Thenessian, who was actually the curator at the time for the Melrose Art Gallery. And yeah, she sort of like brought me on, and I was represented by her for another 2 years. But within those 2 years, we did shows with One Time Run, contemporary gallery in Detroit in the United States, of which my show sold out. It was like a record sellout time of 12 minutes, and I was just leaving school. So they gave me another show. It also sold out. And they've given me 5 shows in total, all of which sold out. And yeah, it just seems like an ongoing relationship that's just been going well for me. And I'm really, really blessed to have actually just been given the opportunity to be part of that initial competition that was held at the Pretoria Museum of Arts. I mean, just being an artist that's living, being young, trying to get work out there, and then being graced with such a good opportunity. I've just been so grateful.
Well, you seem to have the sun shining down on you when it comes to this. I mean, just getting those breaks, I mean, which most people would absolutely kill for. So what are you busy working on at the moment? What can we see from you in the not too distant future?
Well, as of right now, I'm currently finishing my 2-year contract as a resident artist here at the Museum of African Design. I have another residency that's starting in September in New York, of which I'll be presenting works that side for a period of 2 years as well. And again, I really, really don't know which side of work I'm going to develop into. However, I'm really trying to incorporate a lot more commercial kind of work. I don't want to be boxed in as just, a gallery artist. As I did say, like, I'm really inspired by people like Samurai Farai. I'm inspired by people like Karabo Popi. I'm inspired by Nelson even, and the way they've just been able to use their work to borderline into advertising, fashion, culture, even motor vehicles. I mean, I really want to be like a driving force to show artists that, you can make a living out of being an artist. You don't need to wait to get validated by a gallery. You don't need to wait for a person like Megan to, put you on. I am grateful that I have been seen by those kinds of people, but I also think, on the, like, it's a long distance journey.
Yeah. It is one of those things. Being an artist sometimes I'm sure can be feeling like, oh my goodness, this is such an uphill slog. And I mean, having known so many musicians and artists and people who want to act and all of that, anything in the creative field is sometimes really hard. So I think that what you're doing is amazing. So if people want to see what you're doing, I mean, we have been putting some pics up there, but where would we find your work? I mean, do you have stuff online? Or you have any shows? What can we see of yours?
So online, I am represented under Gallery Phenon. If you just search Ryan Shava, they also have a mailing list on Artsy that you can sign onto to get notified whenever I'm about to have a show or if I have any new work available. And in terms of just like, you can pop me a DM. You can come visit me at my studio. I'm very welcoming. I love having people around. I love having like different opinions, like not even just because a lot of people think to go to an artist studio, you need to come there with like a lot of money and you need to be buying stuff. No, you can just come chill. I'll paint. Like, it's the most boring thing in the world, sitting and waiting for paint to dry. And that's literally my job. Like, it's literally just sitting there waiting. Okay. So yeah, please welcome to send me a DM. My Instagram is at Ryan Shava, Ryan_Shava. And I do check them every day. So yeah.
We look forward to seeing what else you're going to produce so that we can all see it too. And thank you very much for joining us, and onwards and upwards. I'm looking forward to seeing what you produce in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Cool, and there we have it. Go out there and support some of our artists. I mean, especially, new up and coming people. The last couple of years have not been easy for anybody, but I think for people in the arts, it's been particularly difficult. So if you've got anything you'd like to share with us, of course, just first of all, hit the like button and subscribe, and we will keep on bringing all of this wonderful talent to you right here on Mansfield Today. We'll catch you again next time.